What's up, everybody? This is NORBCAM coming at you with another episode of the Dive In with Dovin. Yes, this is our weekly show where I talk to Daniel.dovinh, proud sponsor of NORBCAM. I'm very appreciative to have him and his sponsorship of the Dovin Real Estate Group. And we're going to talk about this past game and then also look ahead to the Seahawks 49ers matchup and see how can our Seahawks recover from this second loss in a row and find a way to get a win in a very crucial NFC West first game matchup. So I wouldn't want to waste any more time. Let's get right into it with Daniel.dovinh. There he is. Daniel, man,
what's up?
It's hard to smile after a game like that, but sometimes you just got to go, wow. You know, sometimes you just got your butt so kicked. You just go, hey, you guys had us and we got to find a way to regroup. But man, what was your feeling after watching what you saw on Sunday? The week before was one thing where we had a lead and we blew it. This is a whole different animal. What was your feeling after watching the Vikings just dismantle us from pretty much the second quarter on?
You know, I didn't feel as bad as I thought I would. And I think it's because we've beaten the Vikings so many times over the last several years. That was Russell Wilson's first loss against Mike Zimmer and the Vikings since he's been a Seahawk over here. So I wasn't actually that disappointed because we really looked like a really young team. And that's what we are. We are a young team that has questionable depth at very important positions like the secondary. I also saw that our defensive line, maybe not as deep as I would have liked. You know, Benson Mayoa goes down and it seems like, where are these guys? Where's Rasheem Green? Where's, all of our pass rush? It just disappeared. And Eskridge goes out after the first game. And then it's like, where's our wide receiver depth, especially when Tyler Lockett goes down? So it just showed me that we have a lot of learning to do. We're a very young team. Jordan Brooks got benched for several plays because he missed assignments. So a lot of this is correctable, but I ultimately feel all right because we're early in the season. And I've seen enough of our Seahawks, enough of Pete Carroll, enough of Russ Wilson and Bobby Wagner to still believe that it's a long season. And the truth is we lost a tough away game in Minnesota and it just wasn't our day. But there's a lot of correctable things. What about you, Norb? How do you feel about it?
Well, I try to stay hopeful because it's hard to stay hopeful after watching so many things go wrong that day. I hate to say it. It felt like watching an instant replay of the week before, but maybe a worse version. In this game, I look back at it, and when we scored that 17 points, that was with 11 minutes left in the second quarter. We didn't score another point after the 11-minute mark of the second quarter. That means pretty much 19 minutes of the game after that we checked out. Our offense couldn't do a thing. And that's frustrating because I think for the third game in a row, we're seeing the offense. There's this trend in this case, it was worse because, again, we were great against Tennessee through, we ended the first half with a 2-minute drill. So we were like going into the halftime feeling pretty good. But in this case, it's like we got shut down so early. And what happened? Why did we start so strong and again get shut down? So this inability for the team to carry on through to the second half. And in all the years that we've been Seahawks fans, how long have we always been saying, well, we're a second half team. We're a second half team. We'd always be behind and we go, well, we're a second half team. And most of the times we come back and come roaring back in the second half. Usually we say we're a fourth quarter team. In the fourth quarter, we turn it up. What is this complete reversal of fortunes? And we're like now a first quarter team. Yeah. We were a first quarter team against the Vikings, a quarter and a half. So that's very unusual. That's very strong, weird not to finish strong. And I'm liking the strong start, but we've got to find a way to carry that through. Now, defensively, you were very kind you covered everybody except what I think everybody's been complaining about. The defensive backs, my God, we had
I'm not done yet. I'm not
okay, you're saving the best or the worst for last. Those are the two things that stand out. Pass defense and offensive ineptness after a quarter and a half. I mean, where was the pass defense? It was nowhere to be found. I've never seen a game where we had so many receivers so wide open with nobody around them. We're thinking, well, no wonder we don't have no interceptions. Yeah, and you can't expect to win a game with that much space against the receivers this good. And again, I kept telling myself, man, they don't even have Dalvin Cook. How much worse would this be? So those things right there are already two major things that can they correct this thing in a week's time? But anything else you want to add to that, Daniel? It's a lot, obviously, but it's like, where do you start? Where do you start? Where do you finish? Because it seems to not end.
I start and finish with what do we want and what do we not want. So let's have a recipe for what do we not want first. So what we don't want is to get run over, right, by the opposing team's running back, right? They're taking a lot of time off the clock. Our offense is on the bench getting cold, and our defense is on the field getting tired, right? We've been doing that a lot lately since, the second half of the Titans game has been pretty brutal. And then what else should we not do? We shouldn't abandon our own running game. That's something we've done, right? What else should we not do? Well, we shouldn't bend on defense and then break. That's what we've been doing. And also, we shouldn't be playing vanilla defense. We're just not playing complementary football. So the opposite is really nice. If we're running the ball, we're taking more time off the clock where Kirk Cousins and the other squad can't, do their thing. Chris Carson's starting to get momentum, right? Our defense can rest, and then our defense can take more chances because they have more energy. So I would say that our pass rush was super, super tired. The way that we constructed the team was, hey, we can't pay everyone, so let's pay our secondary, our linebackers. They paid up the middle of the defense, and they decided not to pay the cornerbacks, right? And we also have these young guys, Blair and Amadi, in the middle, right? And we're really counting on the pass rush being a strength of the team. And the truth is, when they're not hitting, it makes our cornerbacks look even worse than they already are. They're probably below average already, but then they look even worse because, you have great players out there like Jefferson this week. Last week, you had A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. And so we now, looking a little bit forward to the 49ers, they don't have as many weapons, right? We mainly need a cue in on George Kittle. But does anyone else really scare me? Does Jimmy G scare me? No, but any NFL quarterback will pick you apart if you don't have a pass rush. And we're sitting back in our vanilla zone at the beginning of the season, sort of learning our base defense on the fly. Meanwhile, other teams are disguising things. You know how many sacks the Packers had on the 49ers last week? They had 4. And that's going to be the key to our defense. We've invested money into Kerry Hyder. We've invested money into Poona Ford. We've invested money into Carlos Dunlap. We invested money into Benson Mayowa. We care about our defensive line, but now it's starting to hurt. We just don't have those guys anymore, like Cliff Averill or, Michael Bennett and Chris Clemens. We can't do the defense we want to do unless we're getting some significant sacks. So that's the thing I'm watching for this next game. Can we make life uncomfortable for Jimmy G?
And you mentioned several guys there, but a name again you did not mention that is actually starting to creep into my radar is Carlos Dunlap. Yeah. Where is Carlos Dunlap in all this? Because we talked about how our defense last year, remember, we started out horrible. One of the worst defenses in the league, just like this. I mean, it's almost like a mirror image of how we started last week defensively. And then Carlos Dunlap comes in when he comes in, and suddenly Jaron Reed's getting sacks, and he's getting sacks, and suddenly the defense starts to make that transition to being the opposite of how we started. And I've been waiting for that Carlos Dunlap who transformed our defense. Right now, there's not much transformation going on, and I don't hear his name much, whether it be tackles, sacks. Where has he gone? He's out there, but
you know what it is? Like, if we want to get schematic, they're putting more help towards him because no one else has stepped up, right? So they're able to chip him with a running back or able to bring a tight end over and go ahead and double team Carlos Dunlap. The idea with a good defense is that they're overwhelming from every angle, right? And you have to pick and choose, right? So with the Rams, a lot of times there are other defenders on the line do really well because there's 2 or 3 guys that have to focus on Aaron Donald. Right now, we don't have that complementary guy that's stepping up, whether it's Alton Robinson or it's number 52. I'm not even going to say his name until he steps up, 2nd round draft pick. right? Kerry Hyder, Poona Ford. Who else do we got that can rush the passer? Benson Mayo has a neck injury. People don't think that's a big deal to like lose a guy like that. It is a huge deal. That dude is a veteran. He knows what he's doing. But these other guys need to step up. Where's Rasheem Green? That guy, like, just these guys, they disappear. And so if I was the opposing team, I'd absolutely double Dunlap, right? I'd double him. And then if we're not sending Jamal Adams, then, and they're just sitting back in their zone, the teams have figured it out. Every team since, 2013 has studied, our defense through and through. And there's, it's a copycat league. So all these teams, like the Vikings, definitely did out scheme us, right? And Trey Flowers had one of his worst games ever. DJ Reed had one of his worst games ever. This is all true. This all happened at the same time. And, there's no easy fix, but we're actually not that far off. We're like 8% off in like every category, which ends up being on a macro, you lose by 13. It looks terrible.
So, so many people, even the day that it was happening when I was live streaming, everybody's cut Trey Flowers, fire Trey Flowers, fire Ken Norton. So, they were getting the most hate, I think. Trey Flowers first and Ken Norton second. But it's interesting because they're two very different places that you're hitting at. Is it Trey Flowers, or I guess representatively the talent, or is it the scheme? So I'll ask you, if you were to point fingers here, who's more to blame for the loss? Was it a coaching issue, or is it a lack of talent issue?
You know what? I'm going to give you a cop-out answer. It's actually both. The players play, right? When things are good, everyone's like, the players play, and things are good. They're like, this coach is a genius. And things are bad. They're like, fire everybody. The truth is we're 1-2 with a really young team. There's actually 17 games this season. And last time I checked, we still have 2 games against everyone in our division. And we have a chance this week to play the 49ers, and we can be 2-2, right? Then we have more opportunities to play the Rams. And we are actually a little bit injured right now. We were down our right tackle, right? We are down. Who else are we down? Benson Mayoa, one of our best defensive linemen.
Kerry Hyder went down for a little bit.
Yep. Kerry Hyder. Oh, here's a big one. Tyler Lockett, right? He was injured for a piece of that game, and it really hurts without Tyler. Tyler's been our number one guy, right? And it's just been a comedy of errors so far. I think it's definitely always both. But I would say at the end of the day, I do think, man, it's a really tough question. I would say it's on the players, but not by much. But it's like this. But I give them a little bit of grace because this exact squad on defense and offense definitely has not had that much time to actually be together. Let's not forget that we're missing our center right now. We don't have a starting center playing. Like, let's just think about that for a second. That's a big deal, right? And on the road twice, and they didn't play in front of crowds last year. So this is like super new for Kyle Fuller. He's like, these guys are trying to eat my face, and there's screaming fans yelling "skull," and I don't know what's going on. And then we have a new right guard, right, from the Raiders, right, and new tight end, all sorts of things. And then on defense, right, Blair didn't even play last year, barely, right. Trey Flowers is not a starting cornerback. So these are growing pains, and everyone's like, the sky is falling. People are like, fire Pete Carroll. They're like, what have you done for me lately? I'm like, dude, you should just look at Pete Carroll's record and then look at every other coach's record. And someday people will appreciate Pete Carroll's consistency. He will not throw his own players under the bus. Let's just pretend that they did exactly what all the commenters say. Okay, they fire Ken Norton Jr., right? Fire him. And then they bench Russell, right? Or whatever people say. DK sucks, he's drama queen, whatever. Let's just blow it up. All right, we trade everyone. It's gonna be misery for like 5 years straight. You'll be grateful that we were 1-2 instead of like 1-16, right? Like Cliff Averill, when he came over, they're 0-16, and he was like, "Thank God I get to compete." And at least with Pete Carroll, every week we're gonna compete. And yeah, the final score didn't look great, but honestly, this is way too early to jump ship, right? I feel like people are going crazy. People are emotional. That's fine. But we need a little bit of stoicism right now. We need a little bit of calmness. And as a leader, I appreciate that Pete Carroll in the bad times does not throw his players under the bus. He could totally say Trey Flowers sucks, but how does that help the team, right? Even if it's true, right? If he says DJ Reed sucks, or like, hey, we're trying to sign Richard Sherman, but we're competing because, whatever. He's in legal trouble, or like he might get signed by another team, because we're competing with them. We don't have enough money. Whatever the case is, we don't know what's going on, right? They probably tried to sign Josh Gordon, right? And he was like, I have a better chance to win with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are also 1-2. The Seahawks and the Chiefs are 1-2. Right. Everyone needs to calm down. It's all good.
Speaking of, you brought up Richard Sherman, he's visiting with the Buccaneers right now. Good chance he signs with you mad bro quarterback Tom Brady. Wouldn't that be weird to see Tom Brady and Richard Sherman on the same team? I mean, go back to 2013. If you would have told me he's going to play for the 49ers and then play with Tom Brady, your brain would explode, right? But it might happen. We might get breaking news today that Richard Sherman may be signing with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. But again, my special guest is my partner and sponsor of NORBCAM, Daniel.dovinh of the Dovinh Real Estate Group. Luxury at every price point. He is going to talk a little bit of his real estate tip of the week at the very end here. But first, we got to transition and talk about this game coming up. So we talked a lot about what happened last week or what didn't happen. So we have this very important game. You said it's early in the season, a lot of games to go, young team at 17 games. So, we got plenty of time to make up for it. But it's the division, and first NFC West team, it's the 49ers in their house. We have to really feel like we got to win this game, because then we got the Rams, who look unstoppable, waiting for us 5 days later at our house. It's not getting any easier, but we've got to start with the one right in front of us, 49ers. How do we beat these guys? They look pretty good and almost won that game, if not for a incredible, miraculous 30-second drive to score a winning field goal. They're that few seconds away from being the other 3-0 team in our division, but they're not. They're 2-1, but looking pretty strong, hanging with the Packers. So what do we got to do to beat the 49ers? Can we do it? What do we need to do, and can we do it?
Absolutely.
Give me some hope. All right, tell me about it.
I think it starts with, George Kittle is their guy, right? We got to bracket George Kittle. We need, Blair to blow up his chest, and we need, safety help with him. We need to bracket him the entire game, at least two guys on him. The other thing is we need to make Jimmy Garoppolo very uncomfortable. He's one guy. The reason why Jimmy doesn't scare me is because Jimmy can't throw it 60 yards. He's no Jameis Winston. He can't just chuck it, right? And he doesn't strike me as a guy so smooth with his, his eyes and his footwork like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. He just doesn't scare me. He strikes me as a guy that if you get anywhere near his ankles, he's going to freak out. And so Jimmy Garoppolo mainly does these kind of dink and dunk passes, right? And so we, I think, need to be a little bit more aggressive and try to make him make us pay. If he beats us 50 yards down down the field, sure, I'll live with that. But what we can't live with is like 8-minute drives of like dink and dunk, and we're just getting slashed, and our offense is on the sideline. Like, what the heck is going on? So that's the recipe to defeat us, is doing that all day, long offensive drives. So, and then on offense, right, we got to be coming out in the second half with some adjustments. I feel like, that's one thing I'll knock on Shane Waldron, right, is how could he be good at second half adjustments? He's literally coached, I would say, coordinated only a few games at this point. So it's not an excuse. It's just the truth, is that he's got a lot to learn, right? And there's new players to learn, and defenses are not stupid, right? So I would say we need to get a little bit less vanilla on both sides of the ball and bring the heat, especially against our division, right? Maybe Pete Carroll's like, first couple of games, let's learn our base offense, base defense, and then we'll whip out the good stuff for our division because we played them twice each. We play 6 games against. I don't know what the mindset is, but it obviously didn't work. And I think let's try to play complementary football through all 4 quarters, starting with let's get this pass rush going and make Jimmy G, make us pay. And then I'll live with that. What do you think?
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm tired of the predictable vanilla soft coverage game, which is perfect for Jimmy G because he can't throw it deep. So challenge him. I'd rather get us beat deep on a play and at least be aggressive, trying to go bump press coverage and try to stick with the guy and see what happens, because what's happening right now, if that's playing it safe ain't working. Safe is getting us killed. So I'd like to see them be more aggressive on the corners, even if that's not really their strength, like Trey Flowers. I think the problem is I don't think they trust him to be good at man coverage, so they put him way back there. It's like, well, just make sure he doesn't get behind you. We'll be all right. No, that's not working. So I think they just need to risk it, and hopefully maybe will we see change at the corner anytime soon? Sidney Jones maybe out there. We're all waiting for that. We're all waiting to see that, but I think it's coming. I think it's just a matter of time. But if they don't roll with him this week, then he's got to step up and they got to do something differently. The other thing, too, is we have tried to dial up the pressure, but I noticed that a lot of other teams have done more creative stunts at the line of scrimmage, whereas I feel like ours is very predictable. Jamal Adams just kind of, you see where he's at, he just beelines in there. The linebacker just beelines in there. Everybody just straight up the field. Whereas a lot of teams, they do these twists, like the inside out. This guy starts in and goes outside to the delay blitz, and it's worked against us. Right. I think we need to do some of that because Jamal Adams has not gotten home yet with the blitzes that they have used him on. We're not getting the pressure with the four, and we're not going to suddenly have four new guys. We're going to have to work with the guys that we have. So I think they need to find more creative ways to get those guys, in a little more unpredictable areas, confuse them a little bit, disguise the blitzes and, mix them up, show blitz, drop back, just something different. I feel like it's too predictable. And totally you're right. Garoppolo folds like a cheap suit, when he's uncomfortable, and we got to make him uncomfortable from day one. Hit him hard early, so he gets eyes in the back of his head, and he'll start throwing the ball all over the place. And maybe we'll finally get one of those picks that we need. So I agree. We got to do something different and take some chances. Sure.
I totally agree. I think there's a stat I saw recently, and the Seahawks disguise their defense the least out of every team, at least in the first 3 weeks. I think it was a concerted effort just to be vanilla and learn our base defense, right? It's like, hey, Cody Barton, you're starting for the first time, or Jordan Brooks or Blair or Amadi. And you got, like I said, Trey Flowers out there. We've invested no money into our cornerbacks. We're really missing Shaquille Griffin. I think analytically, I can see why we didn't spend $11 million on him. It's tough to pay a corner, like a non-pro, all-pro cornerback, that much money. At the same time, we're just like, this is a negative now. Now the cornerback is not just neutral; it's now negative on both sides, and I think it's pretty rough. So I would say, I totally agree with you. We need to be more creative on the defensive side for sure. And wouldn't you agree that it's better to give up one 50-yard bomb than like 10 5-yard passes in a row? At least our offense could get back on the field, and our defense, they gave up a TD or a field goal in like 3 minutes instead of 10 terrible minutes, right?
Yeah, and you have more time on the clock to try to, work yourself back into the game as opposed to a drive. Like we've seen every third quarter in the last two games, we barely touched the ball, and they've owned it. The opponent has had the ball in the third quarter for practically the entire time, with the exception of maybe like 2 minutes. And that's not good for anything. Their offense doesn't get any possessions. The defense just gets tired. And unfortunately, the bend but don't break part is going more break now. A lot of bending, but a lot of breaking too. So, that's not working to just keep playing that philosophy. So try something different, man. But you got to mix it up, because playing it safe just isn't getting it done. And we haven't talked at all about special teams. Not that Jason Myers' miss was as crucial this game, but he's missed a couple kicks now. That last against the Titans was a big kick, the extra point, which would have been a 2-point conversion that the Titans would have had to do to tie the game instead of an easy extra point. And then another field goal that wasn't that far. He hit a 53-yarder, but then he misses the closer one. And I don't know. It's just like, man, when it rains, it pours, because now it's like every phase of the game is not exactly hitting perfectly like last year was with the special teams. So everyone's got to look deep and dig deep and go, look, this is the West. This is our division. We got to start making a stand here.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, I think it's complementary, right? if our offense is clicking and we're having longer drives, imagine being a kicker, right? How much of the game are you actually focused, right? I think that's actually the hardest part. I don't think kickers physically have a problem kicking. I think it's a focus thing. And if your offense is going consistently, you can sort of warm up and get yourself mentally and physically ready to go. But if the other team is just driving most of the game, you're going to be sitting on the bench getting cold. You don't know when you're going to, be in there. And it's just, everything's worse when you let the other team hold the ball a bunch, right? That's how people used to beat Brady and the Patriots. The only way back in the day was to just have them not have the ball. Is basically it. And that's what teams are doing to us. They're like, what is your strength? Okay, Russell Wilson. Okay, well, we're not going to let Russell Wilson have the ball very much, and then we'll be fine.
Well, and I thought the whole idea about getting Shane Waldron and bringing him the LA Rams offense in here was to do that, to get short passes, to ball control, short yardage, get first downs, have drives. I still haven't seen it, at least not for more than 2 quarters. So
yeah, I mean, again, not to make excuses, but the truth is our offensive line is not in a good place right now. I would say they're not a negative, but they're definitely not a positive right now. I would say we're also abandoning the running game. It's when the Titans were down a couple scores against us, they were still running the ball like crazy. And yeah, it's easy in hindsight to say, well, yeah, they have King Henry. But at the time, it looked kind of crazy, right? But they were committed to it. And I know that, Seahawks fans don't want to hear, let's run the ball more. But
I want to hear that. I want to hear that. Chris Carson had 80 yards against the Vikings, and he barely touched the ball in the second half. 80 yards.
He would he's ready. He's ready. He's like a boxer, man. He's like a bull, right? He's ready to go. He's trained his whole life for this, and he got paid, and he's ready to go. And Shane Waldron brought his buddy over, his running back like specialist, his running coordinator, and we need to be mauling people up front. I mean, if we can't have people pass protect, well, let's be the bully on the part. And I think that's just another thing. We need to be more physical. The Titans out physicaled us. I think the Vikings at the line of scrimmage on both sides out physicaled us. I think that's football 101. If you lose the line of scrimmage, you will lose the game every single time. That's where it starts and ends. And it's funny, Norb, in talking about these games, is we basically named every single element of football.
Yeah, right.
We named special teams, offense, defense, coaches,
players. There's one person we didn't name, though.
Okay.
The general manager. And I actually mentioned this in my last video, just talking about this game, is like, I talked about how, not just open up a whole nother can of worms, but, the general manager, he's got a lot. John Schneider's got a lot to say about who constructed this team. And, he gets so much credit for all the great draft picks that he had back when Russell and Bobby and all the undrafted guys, and kind of living off of that reputation. But you got to admit, man, we missed bad on a few guys lately, more recently than we've had hits.
Where's LJ Collier?
LJ Collier, Rashad Penny. They're not playing. These guys were high around draft.
Trey Brown and D. Eskridge are injured right now.
I know. Then they might produce and go, wow, and we just had to wait. Darrell Taylor, second year, maybe he's had flashes. But
Cody
anyway.
Barton was a 3rd round draft pick too. And he's been all right. Is he a 3rd round pick? I don't know. So yeah, I agree.
Jermaine Ifedi, ATV dude.
Yeah, ATV dude. I think he signed temporarily by a team, and then I don't think he.
I don't know. Yeah, so it didn't work out for anybody. But anyway, yeah. So obviously, there's a lot we need to see. There's a lot to fix. But I'm with you, though. I say this and I sound very negative like everybody else right now, but I am also still not giving up on the team. I also do believe that, over time, just like last year, they were able to fix their woes, and I think they will get it together. It's just hard to watch these growing pains with this team, with a new coordinator and, new players, and everybody still feeling like they're not quite in sync. But I feel like they will get in sync, and all of a sudden we'll go back and look at this start and go, remember when we were all panicking when we were 1-2? Oh, Super Bowl, here we come. Anyway, but we got a lot of work to do, and the West is going to be tough. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. But so let's wrap this. Oh, actually, no. Before you go to your tip of the week, what's your score prediction for Sunday?
I'm going to say 17-19. Seahawks are going to win. We're going to actually have a safety in there. We're going to score 2 TDs, a field goal, and a safety. Russell's actually going to have a running TD and a passing TD to Will Dissly. I think Myers is going to be 1 for 2 on field goals. And the guy that's going to get the safety is going to be Puna Ford. He's going to get home. My man Puna, he's going to get home.
Man, that is some detailed breakdown. I was expecting just a rough score and who wins the game, and you got it down to every player and getting a safety in there. I like it, though. It sounds like it's going to be nerve-wracking, though. 1917?
1917.
A win by a safety? Whew. Okay. Well, I had predicted in my music prediction video, I said that we were going to win this game 24-21. And I'm trying to decide if I want to announce anything similar or different from that, but I won't say it here. I will. My number was 24-21, but what I've noticed happening in some of the collabs I've done is that people like the Titans game. I did a collab with Titan Upload, and he came out here I don't think we're going to win this game. You guys it's going to be too tough. We're going to probably lose by 2 scores. And then he reused the old reverse psychology Jedi mind trick on me, and he flipped it. And then somebody else did the same thing. A Vikings commenter did the same thing and said, I don't think, no way the Vikings win this game. And then they won it. So I'm starting to think that maybe I need to use some reverse psychology on my own and predict the 49ers to win. And maybe that's what's going to happen. I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to let this digest a little bit more, and I'll make it more official later in the week if I deviate from my 24-21 Seahawks pick. Because by default, I go by the music video, but I reserve the right to change that at some point during the season. But right now, I'm not sure. I'm on the fence. All right. So let's go to your real estate tip of the week. Again, this is my special guest, Daniel.dovinh, my sponsor, partner of NORBCAM, of the Dovinh Real Estate Group at Sotheby's. Luxury at every price point. You can elaborate on that if you want. But what is your tip of the week, Daniel?
Yes. So my tip of the week is, there's a common myth that you have to put down 20% to buy a home. And I used to think this too before I became a realtor. I was looking at the home prices in Seattle. I was like, okay, at the time you could buy something for, $500,000, and a nice single family home, 2 or 3 bedrooms. And I was like, okay, what's 20% of that? 1/5 is 100,000. How am I going to come up with 100,000? Like, I'm 22 years old. I got student loan debt, right? I'm a music teacher. There's no way, I can't borrow $100,000 from my family to make this happen, right? So I want to encourage people out there that, the average person is actually putting down, on average, across every age group, 12% down on their home. So let's just go ahead and take, a $300,000 condo, for example. 10% of that is 30,000. So people on average, that seems more reasonable to save up, right? That's like the price of a pretty nice car, right? That's a really nice car, right? 30-something thousand. And so I want to encourage you out there that you should know that 66 years and above, that's when people on average are putting 20% or more down, according to the National Association of Realtors. So I just want to encourage you out there that people between the ages of 21 and 30, their average down payment is 6%. So I want to tell you right now, as a realtor in Seattle, I'm putting down 5% on a condo I'm purchasing. So if I can do it, former music teacher that didn't, get a golden spoon in my mouth growing up, then you can do it too. And I've been helping people for several years now, doing teaching and helping them buy and sell homes. And now I'm able to think about purchasing something. And again, I'm only putting 5% down. And you might be thinking, well, doesn't that mean your monthly payment's going to be massive? Or doesn't that mean like it's a bad deal? It's like, what's a bad deal is me paying rent for 20, 30 more years of my life. That's a bad deal because you're not building any equity. So I'd encourage you to consider that you can do less than 20%. So when you see a home value out there at 500 or 600, 700,000, don't think that you need $100,000 or $200,000 to make it happen. The truth is most people don't have that, and that's okay. You're still able to purchase a home. So that's my encouragement to everyone out there.
All right. I know a lot of the people who watch my channel are younger, so you guys may not be in the market, but you might know somebody, or maybe your parents are in that position where they might be looking to, to move or looking for a place, or maybe you have friends who are looking. So I think that's a great tip, in that sometimes we just tell ourselves we can't do it or I can't afford it, but it might be more realistic than you think. So Daniel.dovinh, my special guest, Dovinh Real Estate Group at Sotheby's, luxury at every price point. We were talking a little bit. What does that mean? It's from my understanding, as you explained it, it's not that Sotheby's is known to be sort of a high-end type of place, but that doesn't mean you only serve high-end clients. You serve clients at every level, small to the big ones. But the point is that no matter what price point they're at, you take care of them like luxury. You give them that luxury treatment no matter what level they're at, which is really cool, because if I'm not that high-end person, it's always nice to be treated like one, which is what your philosophy is, right?
Absolutely. I mean, Sotheby's has been around since 1744. It's a super old company that really knows how to take care of people. They originally started as an auction house selling beautiful things like Napoleon's library, right? With white gloves, right? This white glove treatment, this sort of high-end feeling. But with their brokerage right now, and especially with Dovinh Real Estate Group at Marketplace Sotheby's, is luxury at every price point does not mean I'm going to give you a spa massage. What it means is that we're going to treat you with the best service we possibly can. It's all about service. So whether you're 16 years old and you're like, hey, I'm curious about buying, in 5 years, or investing in 10 years, I'd love to have that conversation with you, even if it means you're not going to do anything with me or my company. I just love to help you out. I have a teaching background. Or your parents are like, hey, we don't want to sell our house, but we'd like to talk to a lender about refinancing our mortgage. I could connect you with someone great. So it's really all about service. We tailor everything towards the people that we're working with. And again, like Norb said, it's not about price point. It's not about, okay, I only work with people with $10 million. If you have $10, I would love to have a conversation with you as well to help you learn how to build wealth with real estate. So again, luxury at every price point means service all the time for everyone.
And you get to talk Seahawks too. So you can always do that.
Exactly.
So it's a great combination.
My phone number is right there. Anytime. Text or call right there.
All right. And you can look up his information in the description as well. So again, special thanks to my sponsor partner, Daniel.dovinh. Appreciate it. This wraps up another episode of The Dive In with Dovinh. Let's go Seahawks. We got to beat those 49ers. So let's do it. Go Hawks.
Thanks.